Hello and welcome to SmarterSundays, where we get a new topic every week. My name is Omar,
I'm Nick.
and today we're going to be talking about presidents. And not just presidents, but other world leaders as well a bit, because I found a good story at one of them. Nick is going to start us off with some cool facts. Whatever you want.
Okay. Thanks, Omar. Omar, let's start off. What do you know about William Howard Taft?
Not too much. Isn't he the one where there's a rumor story of him dying in a bathtub?
That's actually been proven to not have water, and there's been no evidence of that actually happening, that he got stuck in a bathtub. But interestingly enough, he did put a 7-foot, 1-ton tub on a ship while he was transporting from place to place, so he would never have to skip a bath while traveling.
That's a... Wait, 7 foot? Wait, so it was like...
It's like 7 foot long.
Oh, 7 foot long.
I think.
Because I'm about to say 7 foot tall just doesn't make sense for.
Yeah, it's not in height, it's in distance.
Oh, alright. That's not bad. Actually, did you know before Air Force One, because that's what the president uses to get around most of the time now, they had a train that was reinforced and was basically bulletproof. And it's actually really cool. That actually, I think the last president to use that train was Theodore Roosevelt. He was the last president to actually do the train. It was the fastest way to get across the country at that time. And the back, the caboose, had a little podium on the back so he can do speeches from the train back car to try to gain voters. That's the word I was looking for. Voters. It was actually really cool. The train is reinforced and it has some pretty cool technology in there. Well, some older technology, because back then there's a lot of stuff that we didn't really have. But it was the fastest transportation across the U.S. at the time. Another thing is George Washington. I think he was the first president, right?
Yes, Omar, George Washington was the first president.
How? I don't know. I'm not really good at history too much. George Washington was an enthusiastic dog breeder. He bred a lot of dogs, but he was very keen on hunting hounds specifically, which is really odd.
Here's a good question for you, Omar.
Sure.
Where did George Washington serve his presidency?
It wasn't in the White House. I don't think so, at least. I think he didn't serve in the White House. I don't know where he served it, but it wasn't in the White House.
It was actually in New York City.
Where?
I forget exactly where in New York, because I think the building is destroyed now, but New York initially was the capital of the U.S. before they built D.C.
Huh. And then the White House. Actually, didn't the White House get, destroyed, 3 times?
I know there was a fire, and I think it was 1912?
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. I just know
Where
it
it got destroyed
a
at
lot.
least. I know it's been destroyed at least by a fire once, but...
Yeah, just because, that happens a lot, it turns out. It got destroyed by fire at least once. I thought something else happened a second time, where they had to rebuild it again, or at least part of it. Alright, do you have any more fun facts?
You had mentioned Teddy Roosevelt. Let's test your knowledge. What movie was he in? Or what movie was it he played by Robin Williams in?
I don't know. I didn't know there was a movie by him.
Have you never seen that at the museum?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but that doesn't really count, okay?
Well, it's supposed to be Teddy Roosevelt.
I know, but, you said him. That's not him. That's
I said him as a character, not as a person.
fair. But, still, actually, I forget. Who was it?
You also mentioned to me this earlier in the week. He was actually shot and continued a speech in Milwaukee.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was shot mid-speech and then just continued his speech. It was really funny.
Ironically enough, the beginning words of his speech were, "Friends, I shall ask you to be as quiet as possible." Later giving a statement, "I give you my word. I do not care a rap about being shot. I wanted to finish my speech."
Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. James Madison was actually the shortest president at 5'4". Which actually surprisingly isn't too short, but it's odd that that's not I feel like we should have had a very short president. probably get discriminated against.
We did. It was Madison.
Yeah, but 5'4" is not too short. You can tell me that's short?
5'4" is pretty short. Not like extremely short, but it is still pretty short.
Fair. I know you have a couple things on Andrew Jackson in there.
Would you like to start with yours, Omar?
Sure. So, Andrew Jackson actually killed a man in a duel. Now, the man in question was Charles Dickinson. He was killed in that duel, and they did a duel because Charles Dickinson accused him of cheating on a horse race bet and insulted his wife.
Wasn't Charles Dickinson an author?
What? Can you repeat that?
Why does that name seem familiar?
I don't know.
Also, interestingly enough about Andrew Jackson, he somehow managed to taught a parrot to swear, and eventually the parrot had to be removed from his funeral because it kept cursing at people.
Which is very funny. Well, I mean, parrots are actually one of the smartest birds. There's some really, really smart parrot breeds out there. It might be able to rival dogs. I'm not too sure, but I feel like some parrot breeds are probably smarter than dogs. But also, there are some smart cats out there too.
Here's something interesting. Do you want to get into some suspicions and psychic?
Suspicions and psychic?
Like, sort of events, I guess.
Sure.
William McKinley considered carnations to be lucky and a good flower, and wore them on his jacket lapel. One day during a walk while greeting people in DC, he gave his carnation to a little girl and was shot 8 days later.
That's sad.
But still, do you think it was just like a psychic knowing about that, or like was it just karma?
You know, there's a difference between causation and correlation.
Yes, I know.
Okay, good. I'm glad we got that covered. Fun fact, Rutherford Ford B. Hayes was the first president to have a telephone in the White House. Which is pretty cool. So, going back to George Washington, he actually never ran for any political party when he became president. He actually warned of the dangers of political parties in his farewell address when he wasn't president anymore. Also, I don't think when was the term limit introduced for presidents?
After FDR. FDR was the last to serve more than 2.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's the 22nd amendment that states that you can't serve more than 2 terms.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure what amendment does. I don't. Back to you, Nick. Are you gonna do something, Nick?
I am. I'm trying to look for a specific
Alright.
thing.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna list off a couple more things that I know. William McKinley appears on the $500 bill, but the dollar bill was discontinued in 1969. Also, there is a coin shortage right now. Who knew? That's why most banks, most banks will not split more than $10 into coins, I don't think, because of the coin shortage. Mostly just because of how coins work. Most people don't actually use coins. They typically get change and then just store it until they have enough, and then they pack it up and give it in for dollar bills and whatnot. Dwight D. Eisenhower was the first president to ride in a helicopter, which is pretty cool. He was also a World War II hero.
I can continue with facts on Eisenhower since I'm at that right now.
Awesome, go ahead.
He was also an avid golfer, and one day while playing golf, there was too many squirrels on the course apparently, and it was making him angry. And apparently he called in a squirrel assassination because he was too pissed off at the squirrels.
A school assassination?
Yeah, obviously it didn't go through, but
Yeah, but like, you're gonna get called from prison and say, I need you to assassinate some squirrels, and what are you gonna think? You gonna do it? Like, how did that conversation go? It's like, sir, the
have no
president
idea.
wants us to assassinate some squirrels. And you're like, what? Yeah, they're getting in the way of his golfing. We need to go kill him. Like, it's an animal. Just shoot it away. No, but he wants assassination. That's not how that works. It's like, oh, okay. What is next? What else do I have? What else do you have?
oh, this one was interesting. One of the earlier presidents, Quincy Adams, was notorious for skinny dipping in the Potomac River.
The Potomac River?
Yeah.
Where is that river located? Because that name sounds very familiar, but I'm not sure where that
I'm
is.
assuming probably either close between somewhere in New York and DC.
I mean, probably. Who knows? Who was the person who wanted the what is it now? Who was the person that assassinated Abraham Lincoln?
John Wilkes Booth.
Yes, that's him. Yeah. There was actually, fun fact, Abraham Lincoln was supposed to have a friend with him. It was let me see who it was, but the friend ended up not going because he already promised his wife that he was gonna go see his cousins, so he never went. Do you have any more facts? Nick?
I'm trying to look at some funny ones.
Just go anyone's right now. I'm currently looking up the Abraham Lincoln thing because I cannot remember. I looked at it.
Harrison was the first to benefit from electricity in the White House and was very afraid of being electrocuted, so slept with the lights on.
Wait, why would he sleep with the lights on if he was afraid of being electrocuted?
Because he was afraid of touching the switch to turn the lights off, and then when you like flip a switch, he was afraid that the switch would electrocute him.
Oh. But isn't the switch made out of plastic?
Yeah, but still, it could electrocute you.
Yeah, but plastic isn't too bad of a conductor.
I don't know.
Where did this story about Taft getting stuck in a bathtub come from?
When I looked it up, it was saying it was just like some rumor that started from just like his weight or something.
Well, that would make sense because wasn't he really big?
He was the fattest president, topping 350 pounds.
Oh God, that's a lot. You know Mount Rushmore, right?
Yes.
There's
Why wouldn't I, Omar?
well, you know, what if you just like didn't know it existed, you know? But like, there's
What about it, Omar?
so there is 4 presidents on there.
Yes.
There is
Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, and why can't I think of the 4th?
yeah, I don't know. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson,
That's who it
Theodore
was.
Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln.
I remembered 75%.
And actually,
That's still pretty
technically,
good.
did you know that Mount Rushmore is actually incomplete?
Yeah.
There's supposed to be bigger buses, but the person who was working on it, which was I can't pronounce his name, but it's Gutzon Borglum. I can't pronounce his name. He designed and oversaw the project, but with the help of his son Lincoln Born. But he ended up dying before the project was complete, and his son took over for a bit, but then just stopped. But it's supposed to actually be like a full bus with like a full bus and a head and whatnot. But then they just stopped working on it. It's still a really cool project though, and it still looks really cool to this day. You know, and it actually is surprising how big it actually is, because from pictures you just don't get the scale from it, you know.
Omar,
Hmm.
let's test your knowledge with presidents and money. Who is on the $100,000 bill that's no longer made?
I don't know. I never knew that existed.
I didn't either until looking
Why
this
is there
up.
$100,000 bill?
It was.
Who's gonna be like, yo, I have $100,000, put it into one bill for me, and then
know,
if they get
seriously.
that yanked, they're like, oh no, I'm down $100,000.
It was actually Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson, why was he on the $100,000 bill? What made him so special to put him on the $100,000 bill?
It didn't really say why, but it was meant for like just trading or something between like shares or something like that.
Oh, that would make sense. Trading between. Okay, that makes a whole lot more sense.
It was something like that. That wasn't like the exact reason. I'm so nervous.
I can't hear you. What?
I'm so nervous.
I don't know what you're saying. Anyway, so here's another fun fact. So this isn't a president per se. This is an Australian prime minister. But on December,
We said U.S. presidents, Omar.
I said any,
We agreed on U.S.
whatever. This still counts, okay? Stop. Stop. So on December 17th in 1967, Harold Holt, which was the Prime Minister of Australia at the time, disappeared while swimming in the sea near Portsea, Victoria. An enormous search party was mounted in and around Shiver Beach, but his body was never recovered. And he was presumed to have died, and his memorial service was 5 days later. His memorial service was attended by many world leaders. And it is generally agreed that his disappearance was a simple case of an accidental drowning. He is the third Australian Prime Minister to die in office after Joseph Lynn in 1939 and John Curtin in 1949. My question is, Nick, if a Prime Minister disappears into the sea, how long are you going to search for him before you give up? What is the appropriate amount of time?
I feel like, one, it depends on the situation, and two, it kind of really depends on the amount of, like, you care, I guess, because it's like, so if you hate, like, a specific prime minister, then yeah, you're not gonna really care.
He was generally
But-
disliked by Australia.
I
And they
feel like
searched
if you
for 5
generally hate
days.
somebody, you're not gonna care about them, so it's like, you're not gonna really, like, give effort to, but like if you genuinely care about somebody, then I feel like it's really, you're not gonna stop until you find an
Yeah, but do you
answer.
think 5 days is long enough?
Generally, I know at least around this area of the US, it's something like between 12 and 24 hours to be considered missing. So I feel like you have to keep
you can
that in
report.
mind.
No, you can
You can
report.
report him missing, but it's not considered missing until a specific amount of time.
No, that's
I think-
actually a myth. You can.
That's actually a myth. Are you sure?
Yeah, no, it's a myth that you need to wait 24 hours to report a person missing. The fact is, if you feel like they are missing, you can report them anytime. Yeah, that was that's a myth. That's actually, I learned that a while back, actually. Yeah, if you feel like someone's missing, you feel like they could be a danger or is missing, you can report them anytime. You don't have to wait 24 hours. Now, I don't know where that myth came from. It kind of like the myth of if the teacher doesn't show up 15 minutes before class starts, you
That was
leave.
obviously a myth from the start.
I know, but it's still fun. Actually, technically not. It actually came from, there is, oh, well, I don't remember the place, but there's a place that does have that rule. Just because it just works for them. People just assume there was a default rule for everything and everywhere, but still fun. I mean, let's be honest though, if a professor doesn't show up for 15 minutes and there's like no email, no nothing like that, you're probably gonna leave, you know? Actually, here's a fun fact. A lot of colleges have this clause in their it's a handbook. I don't know if it's a handbook. But they have this clause that states that if someone dies during an exam, all present students pass the exam.
Are you sure that's the thing?
I'm pretty sure.
That seems...
Unless I'm thinking about the one where if a university burns down, all present students get the get their degree that they were pursuing.
Interesting.
That one makes sense though, because like
Yeah.
if you've been going to college for a while and then everything burns down, it kind of sucks. So of course it is.
So Omar, let's get back on topic
Sorry.
here. So continuing with the idea of interesting pets. Like Andrew Jackson, who had a parrot that could swear. Coolidge had 2 pet raccoons, and Hoover had 2 pet alligators that often escaped the bathtub home. What would you think if you had an alligator roaming your house, Omar?
Well, I mean, was it a friendly alligator?
Didn't necessarily say.
Well, I mean, because
If per se they were like angry and unfriendly with everyone except the owner.
well, then that's just sad. I don't want an alligator who's not friendly. But let's talk about the raccoons, because I technically have 2 raccoons. I don't. No, they're cats, but they look like raccoons, so they're raccoons.
That's not a raccoon, Omar.
Yes,
They're
it
a
is.
Cat.
No, they look like raccoons, therefore they're raccoons. If it looks like a raccoon, if it sounds like a raccoon, and it acts like a raccoon, it's a raccoon.
But yeah, if it's an actual cat, Omar, it's not a raccoon.
But it looks like a raccoon. And it sounds like a raccoon. And it acts like a raccoon.
Whatever, Omar. I'm not gonna fight with you on that.
Nah, but I have 2 cats and they look like raccoon. My sister trained one of them to do like paw and roll over and stuff and lay down and sit, and it's really cool. Do you have a cat that can do that? No.
I have a dog.
Yeah, but the cat can do that. Now that's cool. Also, we had a cat that moved out.
How does a cat move out?
It lives with the elderly couple down the road, and he comes to visit about once a week. Once every 1 to 2 weeks. Actually, he visited a couple days ago. My sister sent me a snap of it. He's so cute. Well, actually, no, we technically have 3 cats that look like raccoons, because my sister found another one that looks like a raccoon on the side of the street and just picked it up. My sister likes cats a lot.
Okay, Omar, let's stay on topic. Also, Coolidge rode a mechanical bull for exercise. Also liked to push all the buttons in the Oval Office and have his staff run in. And then Coolidge also would rub Vaseline on his head as a morning ritual because he believed it was good luck and good for his health. What do you have to say about these?
Well, he pushed the emergency button so his security came to the office and he would hide so that they didn't know what he did. And he did it multiple times.
I know he did.
It's really funny. Also, you could tell me that if you didn't, like, imagine living in a place that has a lot of buttons. You're going to tell me now I can push at least one of them? Buttons are really fun to push.
Yes, but what if you accidentally push the wrong one, Omar?
Well, I'm just not going to.
But like, per se, if they were all red circles, how would you know which one was wrong?
I wouldn't. I'll just push all of them. Because buttons are really fun to push. Look, buttons are really fun to push, especially when they do stuff, you know? Super fun, I think. Especially when they do stuff.
So moving on to Hoover with the 2 pet alligators. Him and his wife actually both spoke Mandarin, and Hoover believed staff and president should not see each other. Therefore, his staff would hide in closets and bushes. Do you think it was fair for Hoover to do this?
Can you repeat that?
Hoover believed that his staff and the president should not see each other. So this led to staff hiding in closets and bushes. Do you think it was fair?
So he believed that the staff could not see the president? Why? That's weird. And yeah, that's pretty unfair.
I don't know. He had some weird, like, with it. I don't know.
Well, that's a bit weird, don't you think?
Obviously.
Quite weird, quite weird.
Oh my, do you have any facts for us?
Nah, I kind of told you all my facts. Nah, it's fine. You can continue your facts, though.
Omar, but like, I want to hear from you.
Nah.
We're not gonna get into the dirt.
And this is why I don't take too many notes. Because it takes you 10 years to flip through your notes. I'm not wrong.
Whatever.
Tell me I'm wrong.
John Tyler was the first vice president sent into the Oval Office, and his grandchild, as of July 2021, is still alive.
Who is?
John Tyler's grandchild.
Who's John Tyler?
The president after Henry Harrison.
And he has a grandchild?
That's still alive.
Well, how old is when was he alive, John Tyler? When did he die?
He came after people like Jackson Van Buren, so he was a while ago, like 1900s.
And he has a grandchild, which means 3 generations. So him, a kid, then another kid.
Yes, Omar, that's what a grandchild is.
Shut up. That's cool. I think I heard that fact before. Still baffles me. That means that they had to live till they're 90. Probably.
Yeah, his grandchild is currently 93.
Wow, that's old.
Yes, Omar, 93 is old.
Anyway, it's time for our first musical break. When we get back into it, we are going to be going into musical presidences. We're going to be going into more presidences, so we'll see you guys after the break. And welcome back from that break right there. I'm actually going to start us off with some fun facts that I have found.
Which president?
Which one do you want to do? So, actually, we could go back to George Washington real quick. George Washington was the only president unanimously elected, which basically means all the state representatives voted for him. Isn't that a fun fact? You're not even listening.
I am.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm listening to you, Omar.
You better be. This one is for you. Thomas Jefferson was also an accomplished architect. He designed his famous home in Monticello, as well as buildings Monticello, as well as the buildings for the University of Virginia. I don't know. I feel like you should know more about that since you're an architect and all.
Monticello, yes, is a very famous building, I will say.
Yeah.
It's not actually that big, but it features a lot of hidden doors.
Oh, I love hidden doors. That's like my favorite thing in
I'm trying to
rooms.
remember all the stuff from last year.
Wait, did you actually do a research on this?
No, we talked about it in History and Theory last year.
Oh, yeah, I love hidden rooms. I don't know why. I just really do.
There was a whole hidden space in his thing where it was used for storage and hiding and stuff like that.
When I build my own house, I wanted to have as many hidden rooms and hallways as possible. Just because I think it'll be fun. And I like that stuff a lot. So much. What else? Let's continue on. James Madison and George Washington are the only presidents who have signed the Constitution, which I think is pretty cool. Now, I know we talked about the shortest president earlier, which was James Madison at a whopping 5 feet 4 inches, but we failed to talk about the tallest president, Abraham Lincoln, at, can you guess his height?
6'4"?
Yeah, 6 feet 4 inches. Sad.
Why is that sad?
Because you should have just said yes. And just whatever. Anyway, let's move on. Did you know...
Actually, keeping on Abe Lincoln for a sec.
Okay. I was going to continue with more facts about Lincoln, but I guess you can go.
During his young years, he was surprisingly a good wrestler and given the honor of Outstanding American in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Really? What did he wrestle for?
I think it was just his high school.
Oh.
Or during school, during his school age.
On the day that he was shot, Abraham Lincoln told his bodyguard that he has dreamt he would be assassinated. I don't know how true that could be, but I feel like it could be true.
If per se it is 100% true, that's extremely psychic.
I don't believe in psychics though. Where's the other one? Franklin D. Roosevelt was the first president to appear on television during a 1939 broadcast from the World's Fair, which is cool. Actually, around the time that color TVs were starting to become a thing, what people didn't really understand how TVs worked, and so I forget exactly who it was, but they did like a nighttime show prank where they said to turn your black and white TV into a color TV, you pulled a silk stocking over it to make it color. And a lot of people did that and they got a lot of complaints because of it, because they didn't realize that it was just a joke, because no one understood how it worked.
Continuing with FDR, he was also terrified of the number 13, refused to attend dinners with 13 people, and refused any other event with 13 people. Also, he refused to leave for a trip or travel on the 13th day of the month.
Wow. Very superstitious, I see. I feel like that seemed to be a trend with a lot of presidents, it seems. Just being very superstitious.
Well, I kind of feel like it's a thing with most people, because, like, if you're actually sort of, like, believe, like, if you're one to, like, believe sort of, like, the superstition with, like, Friday the 13th and everything, and about how it's...
Friday the 13th is a good movie.
I was just talking about, like, an actual date, not the movie.
But the movie's good.
I'm saying, like, if you're actually, like, believe in that kind of, like, superstition and everything, then, yeah, it, like, makes sense to be terrified, but, like...
Let's move on. Teddy Roosevelt was blind in his left eye from boxing. Injury in boxing specifically, which I think is pretty cool. I didn't know he boxed, but it makes sense. John F. Kennedy was the first president who was a Boy Scout. And then there was more Boy Scouts after him, but he was the very first president to be a Boy Scout. So
he was also... JFK was also a James Bond fan and had dinner with the author in 1960. And the author is Ian Fleming.
Ian Fleming? Is he the one who made James Bond? Oh, okay. Here's another one. Remember the story I mentioned earlier about Andrew Jackson killing his opponent in a duel?
Yeah.
Well, during that duel, Andrew Jackson was actually shot in the chest, but he stayed standing and killed his opponent. But they never removed the bullet because it was unsafe to do so and had too much of a risk attached to it, and therefore the bullet stayed inside him for 40 years. Barack Obama actually won a Grammy Award in 2006 for his voice on the audiobook Dreams from My Father, which I think was pretty cool. I didn't know, like, just imagine listening to an audiobook and it's Barack Obama. Like, that would be crazy, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I do get some pretty famous people on there, but normally, who is that dude? The dude who does the Allstate commercials. You know, the one that says you're in good hands?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be great at audiobooks, I bet. What? He has a great voice.
I'm just curious how we got from...
And also...
presidents to Allstate.
And also, what is his name? I can't think of his name right now, but we'll get back to it if I remember his name. Why can't I remember his name? William Harrison died just 32 days after becoming president. He died from a cold he got while he was standing in the rain giving his inauguration speech.
He also gave the longest one in U.S. history.
How long was it?
I think they said it was like 8 pages and it went for like an hour or something like that.
8 pages for an hour.
It was definitely longer than an hour. I can't remember.
That's a lot.
It was some like outrageous number.
That I would not want to stand for that long because I would get bored very, very, very fast. Did you know Woodrow Wilson was buried at the Washington National Cathedral? He's the only president buried in Washington, D.C. Do you know what I find really funny, though? So, Abraham Lincoln was the first president to be embalmed.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why we do it now is because they embalmed him so they can, like, show him around the U.S. saying, look how good of a president he was. But what people got from that is like, man, that dude's been dead for, like, weeks and still looks great. I want that done to my body when I die. And so now we embalm people. And embalming people is actually really bad for the environment. Actually, modern day burials are also extremely bad for the environment. Mostly because now that caskets don't decompose. It's not good.
Oh, my aunt just texted me. The person that's in the Allstate commercials is Dennis Haysbert. He was the president on the show 24 and is now in all Allstate commercials.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
There you go, Omar.
Now I know. Going back to assassinations, because there's like 3 major ones, I think. No, 2. I think there's 2. We have obviously Abraham Lincoln, who got shot by John Wilkes Booth. But there was an assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. He was shot in 1981. And he joked afterwards that he said he forgot to duck. Which I find pretty fun.
If you want to continue on the sad topic of death,
sure.
Zachary Taylor was the second one to die in office. And that was also the president that was dead from the milk and cherries.
Milk and cherries?
Initially they thought it was from some sort of fruit, but back then, obviously there wasn't as many cures or anything as there are today. And I think it was either from sour milk or with sour cherries that caused him to get sick and pass away.
Wow. That's very, very, very odd. But on the topics of deaths, not deaths, where is it now? Give me one moment, please. Oh, that's what it's called, pneumonia. I couldn't think of the word. Because that's what William Harrison died of pneumonia, because it got too cold. That's why you should always put on a jacket when it's raining, because you don't want to get pneumonia. I mean, you probably won't die from it, because you can take pills that will help you. Franklin D. Roosevelt died of a stroke. Which, you know, I find only slightly weird. Mostly due to the fact that most people die from like heart attacks. When you're that old, at least you die. You know what I always find amazing? If you look at presidents before they became president and after they are done with their terms, the amount of gray hair they have has increased significantly. Like if you look at Barack Obama, the amount of gray hairs he has increased significantly. Do you know what? I know this doesn't relate to presidents, but it does relate to leaders. I forget his name, but during the Roman Empire, there was a leader who got mad at Poseidon, so he ordered his army to stab the sea and to throw rocks and stuff in it, and then he declared himself the winner and took seashells as a consolation prize.
Interesting.
Yeah. There was also one who had a horse in the Senate.
Okay, getting back to president. James K. Polk was the first dark horse candidate to win the presidency. Also, he was known to build the Naval Academy at Annapolis, the Washington Monument, and the first postage stamps issued.
Can you repeat that?
Which one? The first or the second?
Both of them, because you were mumbling a bit.
He was the first dark horse candidate to win the presidency. And
Dark horse? What does that mean?
Like, not necessarily, like, underdog in a way.
Oh, underdog. Okay.
Sort of like underdog, kind of. Like when you're a dark horse, it's sort of like you like aren't really like favored, kind of. You
Yeah.
like come in like shockingly. But he also was known to build the Naval Academy at Annapolis, the Washington Monument, and under Polk's only term, he was known to send out the first postage stamps.
Did you know back before the U.S. Postal Service was a thing, the way it really worked was you hand off from a friend to a friend to a friend to get to the person you needed, and there wasn't like a system set up for it. And then the U.S. Post came around, and it was a good system. It works great for the most part. The one that... So Andrew Johnson is one of the very few presidents who didn't have a pet, and instead he cared for a family of mice that were in the White House that he called the Little Fellows.
Also, on Andrew Johnson, he was the first to be impeached, and also he was a tailor's apprentice during his...
Can you repeat that?
He was the first to be impeached also, and he was also a tailor's apprentice and applied what he knew to make his own suits during his presidency.
He was a tailor's apprentice, so he can like make... Ooh, that's cool. I wonder if he made any good suits though. Probably. Oh, here it is. Ulysses S. Grant. He was a Civil War general. He was actually invited to join Abraham Lincoln at Ford Theater on the fateful evening of April 14th, 1865, which is the time he was shot. But he was forced to decline after he and his wife made plans to visit their children in New Jersey.
He was also pulled over twice in a span of 24 hours in D.C. for driving his horse and buggy too fast.
How do you drive a horse and buggy too fast? It's a horse. They can't go much faster than the top speeds. Also, horsepower itself is a terrible measurement for anything.
I wouldn't say anything.
No, because it's not even related to like 2 horsepower is equal to 2 horses. 2 horsepower is equal to like 2 really good horses or like 4 or 5 average horses. It's really annoying.
If you're interested in land expansion, Franklin Pierce tried to attempt to make Cuba part of the U.S. after purchasing it from Spain, and then Millard Fillmore, due to quick diplomatic thinking, saved Hawaii from being part of Europe.
What?
Fillmore saved Hawaii from being part of Europe, and Pierce attempted to make Cuba part of the U.S. after purchasing it from Spain.
Well, Hawaii's a state now, which is great. But Cuba, I don't think... Do we own Cuba?
No.
Did we buy Cuba?
Apparently.
Then when did we sell it?
I really don't know.
I don't know either, because that seems weird. Like, I feel like I wouldn't... Woodrow Wilson was the president who officially established the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day.
Who was it?
Woodrow Wilson. He did it in 1914. So, I don't know how much you know about Calvin Coolidge. Coolidge, is that how you pronounce his last name?
Yep.
But he was notorious for being hard to get many words out of him. So during like a party, a visitor went up to him and told Coolidge that I made a bet that I can get more than 3 words out of you. And do you know what Coolidge responded? You lose.
Not gonna lie, that's actually smart.
That's very smart and very savage. And yeah, no, because he was just notorious for not giving out too many words. Also, who was the president that always had gummy bears or M&Ms on his office all the time? He was the president during the Cold War. Who was the president?
Eisenhower?
I don't think it was Eisenhower.
Because S. Truman took over FDR for the end of World War II. So it's whoever... Johnson, maybe? Oh yeah, and I don't think you quite heard me. It was a failed attempt for the Spain purchase.
For which purchase?
Cuba.
Oh, it's a failed attempt. Oh, I thought we did.
To make it part. Cuba part of the U.S.
And they
by purchasing it from Spain, but the purchase failed.
maybe was it M&Ms? It might have been M&Ms. I'm trying to figure it out. Give me.
The ones that came after World War II were people like Truman, Lyndon B. Johnson, like those presidents. I don't know if those are any of the ones that you're thinking of.
No, I'm trying to figure out.
Okay, well, he figures that out.
Oh, it was Reagan.
Oh.
Reagan always had a jar of jelly beans on his desk and during meetings, because he loved jelly beans so much that he would go and just pick them and eat them during these meetings. For all 8 years of his presidency, he just really, really liked jelly beans. And actually, fun fact, I don't know how much you play Call of Duty at all. Do you play No. Do you?
Yeah.
You play? So, have you played Cold War?
Yeah.
So in the
multiple times.
In the campaign, you can actually see Ronald Reagan with his jar of jelly beans on his desk and multiple cutscenes during the game, which I find really cool that they kept it that accurate. You know?
Mm-hmm. If you really want something that screams like true to the country, James Buchanan was the only. Hold on, where was this?
You okay there?
Yeah, give me a second.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'm gonna do another quick fact. Air Force One doesn't have to actually be Air Force One. Air Force One is whatever plane the president is on at the time. That becomes Air Force One. It's not a Pacific plane. Well, specific. I have to put those words, but it's not Pacific plane. Whatever plane the president is on is Air Force One.
So, continuing on the fact that I had, now that I actually found it in my notes, then Buren was the first president to be known to be born in the new nation.
What do you mean, born in the new nation?
Meaning, like, first as a kid to become president, born.
Yeah, and
like,
all other presidents were British subjects, right? Yeah.
Prior to
that, yeah. When did we inquire? Because the U.S. started with like the 13 original colonies, all on the
correct.
Whatever. When did we start acquiring more land?
With like the Louisiana Purchase and stuff like that. Because that gave us like
Wasn't there a place purchased for $1 though? I remember something like that. Also, you know the Boston Tea Party, right?
Obviously, Omar.
Well, I wanted to make sure, but here's the thing with the Boston Tea Party, okay? Is that we say, oh, they dumped a lot of crates of tea into the water and whatnot, which, seemed kind of big. But they also didn't want to cause any harm, actually, to the ships themselves. They just wanted to dump the tea. Like, for instance, after the night after, the day after, some of them actually went back and fixed a lock that they have broken during the night before. But in terms of dumping the tea, it was very important because back then the tea, you got them in like blocks. When you shave a piece off to put the tea, and those blocks can last you like months and months. So when they said they dumped tea into the harbor, they dumped like years worth of tea into the harbor. That's why it was so big. And that's probably the biggest teacup ever. I find that funny.
James Buchanan was the only one never to actually marry while in office.
Well, who was the president that had like 15 kids? One of them had 15 kids. I don't remember who.
Are you sure it was 15?
I'm positive. I think. Yeah. That's a properly grammatically correct sentence, of course. But I'm pretty sure one person had 15 kids and all. Well, are you looking it up? Awesome. Anyway, in the meantime, Did you know,
Oh, it was John Tyler.
John Tyler? Yep. Did you know the Queen doesn't have a passport? Not a passport, driver's license or an ID. Actually, I don't think she has a passport either. You know why? Because the passports are issued on behalf of the Queen that says you live in Great Britain and whatnot. So she doesn't have one because she doesn't issue it on behalf of herself. Also, isn't she like the oldest queen?
I think.
Actually, didn't she give up the queen position recently? Or am I thinking of something else? I might be thinking of something else, but I don't know. I don't remember. I'm not good at remembering things in my head.
Hey, Omar. Do you know who the second president was to be assassinated?
Yes. Don't give it to me. Give me a moment. Let me think. I know this. It's what's the name? It's the
4 presidents after Lincoln.
no, wasn't it John F. Kennedy? He was assassinated though.
Yeah, I know.
Then who was it?
Garfield.
We had a president named Garfield.
Yeah, James Garfield.
How was he assassinated?
Did not really go into that much specifics on that part. But also, he was also ambidextrous and multilingual, allowing him to write Greek in one hand with Latin in the other.
That just sounds very difficult.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to do it. Would you?
I can barely write English with one hand, so... You think I can do it? Because I can't.
You'll get there, Omar.
Alright, John F. Kennedy was also assassinated.
Probably one of the most famous.
One of the most famous, and that's one of the things that increased the national security budget and also increased security for the president. Because before that, it used to be way less security because they were way less likely to get hurt. Who was it? During, I think it was Ronald Reagan. During one of his speeches, a balloon actually popped during his speech. And everyone assumed it was a gunshot, and then afterwards he said, missed me. Which I thought was pretty cool. He was also the one that had the jelly beans in office, like I said before. He always had them in every meeting. He had like unnaturally excessive jelly beans. Did you know M&M's was an accident?
I remember you saying something about that, but no, before you had mentioned, no, I didn't really.
Yeah, M&M's didn't mean to be candy. It started out by being able to ship chocolate to troops overseas in the hot desert without the chocolate melting. So they put food wax coating over them, and they liked them, and it worked great, and so it became a popular candy. And actually, M&M's are great, but I will either eat M&M's with peanuts or mini M&M's. I do not like normal sized M&M's.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't like them. I like the mini M&M's or the M&M's with peanuts. No normal size M&M's. Do you have anything else?
Oh, I have a lot more.
Well, it's gonna have to wait because we're going on our second musical break. We'll see you guys after the break. Nick will spew off facts as fast as he can. You can't catch him. He's the Muffin Man. I don't know what I'm saying.
I don't know either.
But we'll be back after this musical break where Nick will continue to give us some pretty fun facts. I think they're fun at least. Hello and welcome back from a musical break. This segment is going to be mostly Nick telling off the facts that he has.
So, let's start with Chester A. Arthur.
Who?
Our president, Chester A. Arthur.
Chester A. Arthur, okay.
He was a very fashionable president and wanted to redecorate the interior of the White House and raised the needed funds with a presidential yard sale and sold 24 wagon loads of presidential items.
Wow. He had a tag sale?
He had a yard sale. Yes.
Tag sale, same thing. It's a tag sale.
We'll just say yard sale.
We'll say tag sale. Like, what type of stuff is being sold at a tag sale? That's... Like, what did he want to get rid of from the White House? I feel like that's all decorative, though.
I feel like it's not necessarily what he wanted to get rid of. I feel like it was in a thought process of what people actually would buy.
I don't know. Imagine if he sold, like, a bus that had a button in it. Oh, that'd be cool.
Oh my god.
Are you okay there?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. So, any more facts?
Continuing with Zachary Taylor, who was a father of 15.
Mm-hmm.
He was the second sitting president to die in office and refused to be sworn in on his inauguration day.
Why?
I forget. It didn't really give me a reason, but like, how would you feel about if you were like, per se, like the one that's like doing his ceremony? He's like, no, I'm not doing that.
I'd be like, okay. He's the president. I can't do anything about that. So how did he die?
Taylor?
Yeah.
Taylor was the one that died from the milk and cherries and infection.
Oh, already. I forgot about that. I forgot that you said that. So, but the question becomes, okay, why the how did they not know that sour milk made you, like, sick?
We're talking way back in literally, like, starting to hit double-digit numbers in presidents.
Oh, back then they thought, like, snake oil cured everything.
Yeah,
It doesn't, by the way. Don't drink snake oil.
he was like the 12th or 13th president, so like, think about it. We're looking back in the early to mid 1800s.
I didn't realize it was that far back.
Yeah. Also, do you think it could have, since he was the second sitting, although it would have been more ironic if he was the first. He was the third. If per se it was the 13th, then I just miscounted. Do you think there could have been some sort of like suspicion with being number 13?
What's you and bring up suspicion about like 13 and like whatnot? Are you a superstitious person?
Not really, but I'm
It
just
sounds
saying
like
like,
you are.
I'm just saying like, do you think it could have been like something with that?
No, it just happens. When did the Wild West like officially die out? Nick?
When did the Wild West die out?
Yes. Like cowboys and stuff like that. Fun fact, cowboys and samurais were around. There was an overlapping time period where they're both around. But not only that, in that time period of when they both overlapped, there's also a time period where you can get a fax. Right? So, there could be a chance a cowboy sent a fax to the samurai.
What are you even talking about?
Okay, so there's an overlap of when samurais were around in Japan, of when cowboys were around in the US, where they were both around at the same time. There's also in the overlap of when faxes were really popular and actually became invented. So there is potential for a cowboy to send a fax to a Japanese samurai.
Okay. You good there?
Yeah, I had a burp. Excuse me, though. Anyway, another fun fact. So you know how anime is very popular here?
Yeah.
Well, in Japan, the Wild West is very popular in Japan.
Staying on the topic of Japan, something interesting about George H.W. Bush. He accidentally vomited at a dinner in Tokyo on the Prime Minister of Japan. And if you know the phrase "to pull a bush," also "bushuru," however you say that, came from this event and born as a slang for throwing up.
So, fun fact: one of the presidents, I forget which one, when he went to I forget exactly which president. I'm gonna look this up really quick.
What's the fact? I may know.
This president got a mistranslation from his translator when he went to this country to do a speech, to where he basically said, I wanted you cordially, and he wasn't leaving.
Sounds familiar. I don't know
Yeah,
what president.
right. Yeah, this was Jimmy Carter when he went to Poland. So his interpreter actually screwed up his English. And the interpreter, instead of saying "I left the United States this morning," the interpreter said "I left the United States never to return." And and the interpreter misunderstood the intimate statement was happy to be in Poland, and then the interpreter misinterpreted that and said he was happy to grasp at Poland's private parts.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just thought, and all because the interpreter was having trouble understanding Carter's English accent. Because I feel like if you're a translator, you should be able to understand an accent relatively easily.
Continuing on Carter, as of July 2021, he's the oldest living president at age 96.
96?
He also won a Nobel Peace Prize. Wrote, I think it was 3 books, and built over 4,000 homes for Habitat for Humanity.
Oh, that's nice. Actually, going on topic of presidents after the presidency, George W. Bush actually took up painting after his presidency to help cope with the trauma of which war? Was it the Vietnam War? No. What war was it? What war was George W. Bush part of?
W. Bush?
I think it was George W. Bush. It might just be George Bush. I can never tell the difference between the two.
W. Bush is the one that was in presidency during 9/11.
Which one was...
H.W. Bush was the one that fairly recently died, and he was before Clinton.
Wasn't H.W. Bush the one that did painting after his presidency?
I think. I don't think it was W. Bush. I think it was H.W.
Give me a moment. I'm looking this up. Because I cannot remember. I can't spell. Also, here's another fun fact: when a president is done being president, they still have the Secret Service around. They still get.
Not surprised.
They still get the Secret Service. Just because there still are old presidents, right? It's George W. Bush. He picked up painting after he retired from presidency, and he started painting soldiers as a way of coping with the traumas of the Afghanistan and Iraq wars. He was painting wounded soldiers from those things to help cope with his actions during those wars. There's a type of therapeutic. He's also a really good painter too.
Continuing with W. Bush, he was also the captain of his cheerleading team in high school.
I can see that. What? Captains are typically very courageous and very charming people. Hey, rare fun fact. Before Hitler rose to power, he was a painter as well. But he got denied into art school.
I actually knew that.
So he took up politics. And he actually rose to power naturally. He didn't force power. He just rose naturally. And then, World War II happened. And then he killed himself and his dog.
Okay, we don't need to go into real deep specifics.
Okay, continue on. Continue on.
Bill Clinton won 2 Grammys.
2 Grammys for what?
One was for his reading. They were both like autobiographies, I think.
Oh, just like Barack Obama.
It was something to do with books. It had something to do with like reading books or something.
Yeah, that's called audiobooks, and it's very popular.
No, I know it's called audiobooks.
My
I was
mom
just trying
actually
to think if
listens
it
to
was
audiobooks.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to think if it was for an audiobook or like something that's like, but not exactly an audiobook.
I was gonna try audiobooks, but I could never get into it. I remember when I used to be able to read like a 300-page book in like one day, and now I can't.
I don't know if we said this already or not, but I know we had mentioned George Washington being one of the only presidents not in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also a grower of cannabis and grew it for cannabis and rope for his farm.
Yeah, because hemp rope is actually very durable and very good. And it's one of the first ropes we started doing. Rope, actually, it is actually pretty good rope though.
What would you think if you knew your president was growing?
Well, back then, no one cared.
Fair point.
You gotta
But,
look
like,
in the time period.
Think of it as in like if you knew today.
Oh, cannabis is legal, so.
Not in every state though.
Are you sure?
For a while, it was only like Colorado and one other state.
Yeah, but it's legal in Massachusetts.
Yeah, I know.
And I'll be like, if I heard in the news, like after the show, I go on the news and I hear, Joe Biden is going cannabis in the White House. You know what I would say? Do you know what I would say? Nice. That's my response to that. And now let's get off the topic and pick a different topic to go back into. Excuse me.
John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, most well known for being frenemies and founding fathers, died on the same day and just hours between each other.
I did actually read that up on that, but I chose not to include it because I didn't think it would be very fun.
Yeah, but like think of just like the irony of that, like you're frenemies, you're both presidents. Basically back to back, just like the irony of the connection between the two of them, isn't it? Like somewhat interesting but strange. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry, my mic was muted. I just choked on some water I was drinking. It's fine. I'm fine.
Do you need another drink?
I don't think drinking more stuff is gonna help. Fun fact, when you're choking and you're sitting down, don't stand up. That will cause you to lose all your blood to your brain and actually cause you to pass out. If you're choking sitting down, stay sitting down. If you're choking standing up, go sit down. Facts that could save your life. I can't do this. I was trying to do the more you know tune, but I'm not good at doing that.
Continuing with John Adams and Jefferson, while visiting the home of William Shakespeare, Jefferson and Adams both broke off a piece of a chair for a souvenir.
Wait, what presidents were these?
Jefferson and Adams.
They were alive during William Shakespeare's time?
They visited his house. They weren't alive during his time, they visited his house.
Sorry, my sister was texting me saying, "Oh, now I can give him medical advice."
Yeah, she's right.
I mean, you're not wrong, but you know.
She's right.
See, I also said dies on live radio. That'd be a way to go.
Seriously. But they weren't alive during his time. They visited like his house.
Oh, museum. Yes, Aziza, you get a shout out. Have fun with that.
Thanks for that, Omar. Now my sister and family will be like, why don't we get one?
Shout them out now then.
We'll do it later. James Madison lost his election for not providing alcohol to voters because he thought it violated his principles.
But giving alcohol to voters violated his principles? Are we gonna talk about the prohibition now?
We can.
Because here's the thing with the
'Cause, like,
prohibition, it
the
actually caused
during, like,
more
the
harm than good.
presidents during like the Roaring Twenties and then the Great Depression were all Hoover and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. But here's the issue with the
And
prohibition.
he was blamed for the Great Depression by a lot of citizens. What context?
I don't know.
Then why are you like looking at it?
Because I don't know what's even going on in today's politics. Anyway, we'll go back to prohibition now, because I know what went on during that time. So the prohibition was actually very bad for the U.S. in general. Not only did it cause more people to buy alcohol, but unsafe for alcohol, it actually caused the rise of a lot of gangs in some very many metro inner cities. That's the way I was thinking. I couldn't think of it. And so when basically the prohibition has basically didn't stop anything or anyone from actually drinking. And one of the investigators during the time actually timed how long it took for him to get offered a drink in different cities. And do you know the fastest he was offered a drink? I think it was Chicago, where he got a taxi and asked the taxi driver, "Where can I get a drink?" And he pulled out a bottle and said, "Right here." Just to see if it was working or not. It obviously didn't work, and then we repelled the prohibition, which I think was a good move on our part. Mostly just due to the fact that it caused a lot of harm. And when you have it non-legal, when you have it on non-legal, or when it's illegal, you can't regulate it. But when it's legal, you can regulate it and make sure it's actually safe. Because a lot of the time, it is unsafe. And we are going to talk about some things I know about now. So, Nick, you know Queen Elizabeth, I think the third?
Yeah.
She got COVID.
Oh.
Which is not fun, but you know, the Queen's like, how old is the Queen? How old is the Queen? Like, the Queen is probably like very old at this point. COVID could potentially kill her because of how old she is. Because older people have less of a strong immune system than younger people. But you know, this is the first time. 95 years old is how old the Queen is. This is the first time hearing that the Queen got COVID. Mostly because I don't follow modern politics too much. And I don't know too much about it because most of the time a lot of that stuff doesn't end up on social media, so I don't hear a lot about it. But we're gonna go back to talk about presidents now. So do you got any more fun facts?
I do, Omar. So, Richard Nixon, also notorious for being impeached, was also an avid bowler, and in 1973, built a single-lane bowling alley in the White House.
A single lane? That's actually funny. What? Do you think the bowling lane's still there to this day?
Who knows? Possibly.
That'd be cool if you can just wake up and just go bowling. Bowling's fun. That would actually be funny. I wonder what are some other weird things presidents built in the White House.
Gerald Ford worked as a fashion model in college and was even on the cover of Cosmopolitan in 42.
42?
Oh, it should say 82, never mind.
82, okay.
I don't know why there's a 4 there. Wait, no. No, 42's right. Because it was one who
JFK apparently got married in Newport.
There was a president, too, that actually got married. Oh, it was... Oh, okay, I know who it was. Grover Cleveland, elected to non-consecutive terms, so he's actually considered the 22nd and 24th president.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
He was the first sitting president to get married and got married to a woman 27 years younger than him. That was also apparently his legal guardian.
What?
It was also his legal guardian. Apparently.
That's just weird.
I know it is. Why would... It's like... When you think about it, it's like... You kind of want a life, so it's like... If it's like your legal guardian, I feel like they can like almost overrule you on a lot of...
Yeah. How many more facts do you have? How many more facts do you have?
Rutherford B. Hayes won the election by one electoral college vote and was the first American to own a Siamese cat.
A Siamese cat? What type of cat is that?
A Siamese.
That doesn't make no sense.
A Siamese cat is a type of cat.
Oh, it is? Okay. Is that the one without any hair?
I think. Question mark?
You think. Sad.
Not
I
quite
didn't
sure.
I didn't know you thought. You can't see it, but the look he's giving me is very funny.
James Monroe chased his Secretary of Treasury around the White House with fire tongs. The two ended up getting in an argument, and he grabbed the tongs as self-defense.
Fire tongs?
Meaning like things you stick in a fireplace.
Oh, the poker.
Yeah, they're called fire tongs.
Fun fact, when I was younger, my older brother put the poker into the fireplace and got like really hot and then burned my knuckle. My older brother. And there's still a scar on my hand.
Oh, I was gonna say if it was your twin, that would
No.
make a lot of sense.
Nah, like if you look right there, there's a scar on my knuckle from it. Yeah. My brother was kind of dumb sometimes. Only sometimes, though. Alrighty, let's continue with your facts. Because we're all running a bit low on time, so.
There's only like a few more.
Alrighty.
Harry S. Truman, the S in his name does not actually stand for anything. It was to honor his grandfather Solomon, since his parents could not decide on a middle name.
Oh, that's nice of him. That's very nice, you know. Did you know, like, you can really write down whatever name you want on a birth certificate? You don't really need to have, like, a proper name.
Seriously.
I just find that, like, mind-boggling.
Lyndon B. Johnson was poor as a kid, and his family often had no food, so they would eat covered dishes.
Eat what?
Brought to them by eat covered dishes, like basically leftovers.
Oh.
Brought to them by the neighbors. So when he became president, he focused it a lot in on like poor in America because it meant so much to him.
Well, I mean, that would make sense. You know, you enact things. Who? Who else can we talk about?
If you want to get into recent,
Sure.
Donald Trump wrote 13 cent checks to wealthy people and sent them, seeing if they would cash them.
Did they ever? Wait, why 13 cents?
If I'm guessing, it's because of just like wealthy people doing like pranks on each other, but like.
Well, in all fairness, there was this dude who actually one time he got a contract from his phone company about like his plan and whatnot. And what he did was he actually took the contract and edited it a bit so it's in his favor, and then he signed it, sent it back, and they signed it. And before they noticed anything, they tried to get out of it, but they couldn't get out of it because it was a legally binding contract. And basically that mean that dude got like service for free, and if they tried to cancel would have to pay a hefty fee because of it. Another thing is this dude just sent random bills to random tech companies and like big companies in general, and they just paid it because no one's gonna check to see if it's legit or not. He just sent bills. Let me take a look at this real quick. Because I forgot this was a thing.
Why Omar looks that up? Warren G. Harding.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you continue, and then I'll go on to mine.
Warren G. Harding lost a set of White House china in a poker game.
Oh, that's cool. I like poker. I can play Texas Hold'em. I didn't know this was happening, but the President Trump, he is launching his social media app on tomorrow. Truth Social. I don't know if you knew about that. It's been a long time. It's been a long time since working on that, because I do know he was working on it during his presidency. But it's been so long time because I think he got a lot of flack for it. I haven't heard too much about it, but I am curious to see how it's going to turn out. And if I had to make a guess, probably not very well. Just because, stuff like that doesn't typically end well.
I only have one more.
Alright, well, say it.
As a wedding gift, Joe Biden from his father got a 1967 Stingray and still drives it to this day.
What?
A 1967 Corvette Stingray.
And that was from Joe Biden to his father?
From his father to
Joe
him.
Biden.
As a wedding present.
I mean, that'd be nice. Dude, Stingrays are great.
I know, right?
I actually like the look of older cars much more than I like the look of newer cars, because I think it just looks so much nicer. Anyway, that is going to be the end of our show for today. Join in next week where we're going to be talking about music.
And Grammy nominations.
And the Grammy nominations, because those... we won't get too in-depth about Grammy nominations next week. We'll get more into that when the Grammys did come up on...
April 3rd.
April 3rd. But we're going to be talking about music. We're going to share some of our favorite songs. Maybe play a few for you guys. And maybe we'll talk about, music making in general. We're hoping to have a guest in here who has done DJing and music making and, stuff like that. And maybe we can get his take on all this and see if we can get some nice knowledge from him. So tune in next week.